Hey everybody, welcome to RCAM. I'm your host Ryan. Thank you for tuning in today. We are up to episode number 19. So today I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to get into the Bible a little bit and just do a small devotional with you guys. So today I wanted to talk about serving other people. This is something that's countercultural because we live in a culture that is very self-serving. So we are constantly wanting to put our needs above the needs of other people. And I think that can be extremely damaging because then we're creating a culture that is really only looking out for themselves. And we have people in this world that need other people to look out for them. I think Jesus says it, or no, Jesus says this, that the way you treat the least of these, you treat me. So what you do to the least of these, you do to me. And this is something that really hits home for me because I think about how I treat people that are in situations that are worse than me. And I think if we're being honest with ourselves, many of us, if we look at how we treat other people, it's not very good. We might pass people by. We might mistreat people intentionally. And that's a direct reflection of how we would treat Jesus. So I think it's good for us to treat every individual as we would treat Jesus. I've heard people say, people say, "What would Jesus do?" That was a very popular phrase back in the day. People have their WWJD bracelets. And I think there's a better question that we need to ask, and it's not what would Jesus do, but would I do it to Jesus? I think that will really change the way that we engage the people around us, because what we do to other people is a direct reflection of what we would do to Christ himself. So if I'm starting from a point where I'm asking people what or asking myself what I do to Jesus, that's gonna change the way I interact with people. Especially if you're somebody that really loves the Lord, you're not going to want to bring any harm to him or the people that he loves. So it's going to change the way that you interact with the people around you. So I just want to open or just spend just a short time in the Gospel of John. So it's going to be John 13. We're just going to start in verse 1. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And I love this. Jesus loved us until he drew his last breath. I mean, he loved us all the way to the end until he took that final breath on the cross. And that to me is just a really beautiful. And it goes on to read in verse 2, the evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off the outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. So the God of the universe, Jesus, he did something that I think if we saw today would just leave us utterly in awe. He got on his hands and knees and he washed the disciples' feet. And you got to understand something too about this time period. Feet were gross. Feet were really dirty too. People walked around with sandals, getting dirt, getting feces, getting all sorts of stuff in their feet. And Jesus was willing to subject himself to washing the disciples' feet. This was something that was demeaning. This was something that I think that it was probably scandalous for someone of Jesus' stature to do, but he did it because he loved us and he was willing to serve us. There was nothing that was beneath Jesus. So I think when we assume the posture of a servant and we are committed to serving other people no matter what, I think we can see some dramatic change happen to the people that are around us. I firmly believe that if we are people who have hearts like Christ, then there is no one that's going to be beneath us. That we're going to view everybody the same way that God views us, with a heart of love and a heart of compassion, being compelled to love the people around him. And if we start by asking ourselves the question, what I do to Jesus, I think we'll be a lot more inclined to serve those people with everything that we have, to show them the same degree of compassion and love that Jesus Christ showed us. And I think that'll go a long way in a culture that is self-serving. And I think it'll do tremendous good for our own hearts, if we are to be people who are committed to serving other people above ourselves, to loving other people above ourselves. And that's something that can be challenging in a culture that prioritizes self-love. I think, or I know better yet, that the self-love culture has really, really bred a culture of narcissism, because people love themselves so much that it eclipses everybody else around them. And this life is just not about us. It's not. There are other people around us. And I'm not saying, so if you're somebody that's coming from a place where you hate yourself, I think you do need to see yourself the same way that God sees you, because God loves you deeply and intimately. He cares about every facet of your being. But I think we start from a point of putting ourselves first and loving ourselves above everybody else. But when Jesus commands us to love our neighbor as ourselves, I think he's suggesting that loving ourselves is a given. That's something that we are naturally inclined to do. And that we need to start from a place where we love God with our whole heart, our whole mind, and our whole soul. And then love our neighbor as we love ourselves. I think in doing so, we can really see people's lives transformed by the power of the gospel. And I think in serving other people, we will ultimately be more fulfilled, that we will have more joy. I mean, the times where I have selflessly served other people have brought me infinitely more joy than the times that I've been self-serving. And I think I'm speaking for a lot of people when I say that, that it is better to give than to receive, that it does bring us a lot more joy to give to others, to help others, instead of serving every single want, need, and desire that we have. But instead looking to our neighbors, looking to the least of these and saying, would I do it to Jesus? And of course, most of us, if we know his heart, we know the way that he loves people, we absolutely wouldn't do it to them. Some of the things that we do, but we would care for them deeply and intimately. So my encouragement for you guys today is love your neighbor, serve your neighbor, abandon this self-seeking culture and start being a people who are committed to serving others and regarding other lives more than your own, or at least at the very least seeing them as just as valuable as your own life. So that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Deuces.